Hi, I'm Robin Birkin, an ex-corporate marketer turned online business owner. I took everything I knew and created a six-figure life coaching business in the margins between nap times and a 9 to 5, and I'm here to share with you how you can do the same. Tune in as I share the raw and unfiltered truths, big lessons, and practical tips to help you build and grow a sustainable bread-winning business online that is both peaceful and profitable. Here, we dive deep into all things online courses, funnels, audience growth, and so much more. If that sounds like the things you want to learn, then welcome to Signature Online Course Secrets. Let's go.
I am so excited to deliver today's podcast episode to you because this is a topic that I feel increasingly passionately about, and that is the way that you are managing the money in your business. We've just come off the 2025 planning calls for everyone in the mastermind, and we gave everyone a template for their budgeting, their sales forecasting for 2025, all sorts, their promotion calendars, their budget versus actual. We gave everyone all of that, and also an ideal budget matrix of how to know and work out how much to pay yourself, how much to spend at a percentage level on team, on advertising, on all of those things. And so we had in-depth conversations across our 2025 planning sessions about how we're spending money in order to make money. And if I could scream from the rooftops one message at the moment, it's supporting females in business with where they're spending their money. And this isn't necessarily a reflection of anyone in the mastermind, but this is a reflection of a number of discovery calls that I've had across the year and I guess inside intel into other businesses. Because what I see is loads of women in business investing not just their money in places that are going to self-sabotage them, but also their time and effort. So today's podcast isn't just about money. I'm also going to speak at the end to your energy. And we're going to talk about what you should and what you shouldn't invest in 2025, my thoughts on the matter. And mostly, it's a list of things I don't recommend that you invest in. So let me just recap into what you are spending and what some of the problems I see are. So one of the things, let's say that you are a business owner and you are making $30,000 to $40,000 in your business per year. And this is a really common revenue figure that I work with when people start working with me in the mastermind. Lots of people are earning that $30,000 to $75,000 mark. And lots of people are also, they've been in business for several years and they're desperate to hit, crack and exceed the six-figure mark with the hope that they will land with a $250,000 to $350,000 business. So if this is you, yes, feel free to consider me speaking to you. So let's say that you are earning $30,000. There's two things that I frequently see in this group. Group number one is paying themselves nothing, $1,000 a year, hardly anything, because their expenses are being sucked up by so many other things. The next thing that I see is business owners who are taking too much wages and they are I can't invest in coaching, or I can't invest in Facebook ads, or I can't invest in anything else that is actually going to help me grow to get to the $100,000 because there's no money left over. And that is because they're I need this money to live. But the problem with overpaying yourself wages and not leaving any money for growth is that you will perpetually then be stuck at the same revenue level you're at then. You can't grow unless you actually are investing in some form of growth. So those are the two things that I see. So what are some of the more in-depth ways that I see people either having too little wages or too much wages, and what should you invest in and what should you wait to invest in? So the very first thing is I highly encourage you putting together a budget and breaking it into categories. Looking at your 2024 expenses, well, how much did I spend on software? How much did I spend on coaching and courses and consultants? How much did I spend on my team? And what did that look like as a percentage of your total revenue? So I think it's so incredibly important for you to do that reflection. So go through, aim to get that done so you can get a really clear picture of where you're at. And then in terms of, like what percentage you're paying yourself, what percentage you're spending on team, it's actually highly individual. If you look at Profit First, I think they recommend paying yourself something like 31 to 33% of your total revenue. But a Profit First business is kind of nuanced from a female course creator business. They're typically businesses that are more designed, I feel, to scale and be sold rather than, like women in business. What I think is possibly too much in terms of wages is like 60%. If you're at the 100,000 or less mark, 60% is too high. 45% is okay. Even 30 to 35% is okay. So you kind of want to be in that middle range of what you are paying yourself. If you are above that, my thought is that you may be paying yourself too much. The nuance to this is also that you are going to be in different seasons in your business. So for me in my business, I've kind of reached that enough point in my business of I've reached the goal revenue number. One of the differences in the businesses that I create and promote is that we also value peace as well as profit. So it isn't about every year growth on growth on growth. It's about learning what you need to do and then having a moment where you're like, actually, this is cool and this is enough. And I can step off the treadmill and start really enjoying my life with a great bread-winning wage. And so if you're in that season, you may invest less in coaching and courses because you don't need that strategy or that support and therefore may be able to pay yourself more. It's so dependent on so many circumstances. And I have 100% had the experience in the recent future of feeling like I have been paying more for coaching and support than I've been paying myself. And I want to normalize that sometimes that is the case when you are in a growth or a slingshot season. If you are in a season when you are aiming to almost like slow down a bit because there's things that need to be fixed, you're at $30,000 and you're like, I really need to get to $100,000. If the things I've tried haven't worked, then absolutely you might be in a season of saying, okay, well, I'm going to need to temporarily invest more so that I can slingshot forward, fix what needs to be fixed and get the guidance that I need if I've tried it on my own and it hasn't worked, and then go forth. So invest in this, not that. Number one, invest in things that will grow your business and help you make more money if your current annual revenue is not where you want to be. And this is almost like a leapfrog type scenario that you have to jump in terms of growth if you want to increase the capacity or enrollment in your programs. So you may need support with strategy or conversions, and where you don't know the answers yourself, that's where you may need to outsource to a coach or a consultant to help you figure out, what needs to change in your product suite, what needs to change in your launches, what needs to change in the rest of your business in order for you to achieve the work-life balance that you want and the revenue that you want in order to pay yourself the amount that you want. At the end of the day, you run your business so you can have a life and so you can support your family. If it's not giving you a life and a lifestyle that you want, then what is the freaking point? But you can't get to that level sometimes without growth. So if you're not getting the leads that you need, then you might need to invest in ads. So these are things that may directly have an impact on the revenue that you make across a 6 to 12 month period, and then likely continue to deliver compounding returns for you. So invest in things that make you money if you wish to get to the next revenue level and what you're doing isn't working. The next thing I think you should not invest in is having loads of software and the perfect software, especially with the wide range of AI tools on the market right now. We're seeing so many more softwares. So whether that's an Instagram scheduling software, an AI tool that, clips all of your podcasts into audiograms, whatever it is, really have a look at your software and the concept of good enough over perfect. A lot of us are very heavily invested in all of these different softwares and page builders and this and that. And I mean, I have to say, I live and die by Thrive Themes and Kartra in my business. But are you just adding more and more and more? Are you like, I just need to have Kajabi and I just need to have Flowdesk, and they're all really expensive solutions, but they're pretty, and actually you probably could do things a little scrappier. Are you paying for Asana and you actually don't really need to? Are you paying for Zoom except that you don't do any Zoom calls? Look at your expenses and really stop paying for the perfect software. Consider that it can be 90% there, and really look at your software spend because it can get out of control. The other thing I think can get out of control, to be perfectly honest, is team. Don't invest in team thinking that it's going to be the solution. In actual fact, I highly recommend having a part-time VA. Beyond that, if you have a Suite 6 business, AI can probably do the rest for you. AI can do a lot of what you need for you in your business. The next thing I recommend you don't invest in 2025, and this is a giant call out to so many women within the health and wellness space, stop investing in certifications. I highly recommend you get a signature specialty certification, i.e. life coach or nutritionist. But beyond that, if you are perpetually investing more in professional development, the mindset reframe that I need you to have is that every time you invest in a certification, number one, beyond that signature certification, it's probably not going to net you more revenue or more clients. It's usually, mostly, serving you. But also, every time you invest, let's say $5,000 in a certification for a new modality or something like that, that's actually $5,000 that you probably could have taken in wages. It's not going to help your business grow. There's a difference between expenses as expenses and expenses as growth. If you do wish to invest in another certification, here's what I recommend. Put it in the budget. Put it as a percentage of your revenue in the budget, and be happy with that amount as the amount that you have spent. If you don't put it in the budget because you're like, actually, I'm not going to put $5,000 for certifications in the budget. Because I want that $5,000 for my wages. Amazing. If you decide through the year I want to invest in a certification, tough. Put it in the budget for next year. Invest next year in that and have that pause, that pregnant pause, to actually check whether you actually need it. Because every time you invest in a certification, they're not growth spending. They're not going to help you get more clients. So stop doing it. The other thing that is possibly controversial that I don't think results necessarily in more money or less effort in your business is using agencies. So whether, that's a copywriting agency, a Facebook ads agency, really having a look at what that would mean. Like, what more sales would you need over doing it yourself? Let's say you hire a Facebook ads agency. If you are $1 million business owner, go nuts. I'm not talking $1 million business owners. I'm talking to Suite 6 business owners at $100,000 to $500,000 or aspiring to that revenue level. If you're in that revenue level, you probably don't need Facebook ads agencies. You are still going to have to go through and be quite hands-on in those ads because I've had an agency before. But consider if you're paying them $3,000 a month, which if you want a good Facebook ads manager, that's what you'll pay. How many more leads could you get if you were doing it yourself? How much time are you saving and what do you generally get paid per hour? So if it takes you 10 hours and you're paying them $3,000, that's $300 an hour that you might be paying them. Understanding that there's nuance to this. Sometimes when we want an agency, it's because we get like a little bit overwhelmed by tech and then we bow out and step into the too hard/overwhelm basket, I think that that's a huge recipe for disaster, because if you don't understand the basics of how things work or don't work, that's, I've experienced this, or I've walked into roles in my corporate life where my predecessors have done this, and then I've walked into a shit show where they've spent $50,000 on a website build that was actually a $5,000 website build. If you don't know, how do you know if someone's doing a good job or if someone's ripping you off? So unfortunately, it is my recommendation, if you want to invest in something like Facebook ads or you want to do copywriting, first you have to know what constitutes good Facebook ads and advertising and understand at least a little bit of the tech and the back end so that you can do your due diligence. And you really have to look at the return on investment for those services. So investing in Facebook ads is, in terms of growth, is different to investing in a Facebook ads manager. You would then look at, maybe it is worthwhile for you, but you have to look at your hourly rate. How much do you pay yourself per hour, or how much is your time worth? And then, what would be the benefit from a leads or sales perspective of them coming on board, and whether or not that's worthwhile. If you are perpetually investing in agencies though, again, is this going to be taking too much away from your wages in your business? And if you only want 300 leads per month, well, paying $1 more per lead only adds another $300 per month. So maybe it's worth a higher cost per lead to just do it yourself and not be perfect about it. The next thing I don't recommend doing is purchasing courses that sit in the graveyard. And this is a call to me as well, because I've done this so many times. Look at the budget, set a goal for learning new technology. Maybe you want to learn AI, and sticking to that budget rather than seeing people's Facebook ads and being like, oh, I want to learn that, or oh yeah, I could do low ticket offers. I'm going to learn how to do that, and then not consume them. Maybe you set a rule for yourself that you must consume the last course that you bought and implement it before you can invest in another one, and you need to budget for it as well. And so being really savvy and strategic with what it is that you invest in. So now let's talk about your energy. These are things that I recommend you invest your emotional and effort into. Number one is peace. What is going to give you more peace in 2025? I feel the collective swell towards everyone feeling like everything's been a little bit chaotic, a little bit much, and really craving peace in their business. So looking at what kind of things can you invest in, or give zero fucks about. Don't sweat the small stuff. It is all small stuff. How can you give less fucks about things? See whether actually at your stage of business, one of the benefits and beauties of having a Sweet Six business is actually you don't need perfect systems. You don't need all of the bells and whistles. You don't need to record a million SOPs. If you want $1 million business, go freaking nuts. It's essential. But actually you can be a little bit scrappy still at that $200,000 to $500,000 mark. So what is going to give you peace at a day-to-day basis, and how can you be less perfect in what it is that you do? The next one is execution. Invest your energy rather than always looking for the next thing, what's happening, what do I need to do, what do I need to learn, I'm going to invest in this course and that course. If what you're doing isn't working, you 100% need to find the answer, but then the result comes from executing. You should be ruthlessly concerned with executing what it is that you're doing rather than going and buying another course on another topic. And then the last thing is making fast decisions. There is the concept called Berniston's donkey. I was sharing this on a one-to-one call the other day, that a donkey was given 2 bales of hay, and it couldn't decide which bale of hay it wanted to eat because they both looked really great. And it spent so long trying to decide which bale of hay it was going to have that it's starved to death. Don't be that person. I talk about this all the time, but I once read a study that spoke to one of the core differentiators between high-level managers and low to mid-level managers. One of the differences wasn't that they made better decisions, they just made faster decisions and backed themselves. And that's the energy that I want you to be in 2025. I highly recommend investing your emotional energy into making decisions fast and then backing yourself in those. And that will allow you, again, to have more peace in the way that you run and execute your business and your day-to-day life. That's all from me. I'm going to catch you next week. Bye for now.
Another episode on the books. If you'd like to continue the conversation and get more super savable tips, come and find me on Instagram at Robin Birkin. Otherwise, make sure you're subscribed, and I can't wait to see you next week.